to find. She just has an incredible gift. Now, before Stephanie White was head coach of the Indiana Fever, she said some things like this about Caitlin Clark. The difference between the two, one actually practices what they preach. One actually, you see their words translate into actions, while the other one's words translate into crossed arms and tweaking on the side.
Something just shifted in the WNBA, and if you weren't paying attention, you may have missed how significant this moment really was. Cheryl Reeve, the most accomplished active head coach in women's professional basketball, finally weighed in on Caitlin Clark. And what made people stop and listen wasn't criticism or an attempt to diminish Clark's impact. Instead, it was the opposite. Reeve appeared to acknowledge what many fans, analysts, and even people around the league have been quietly discussing for months. That Stephanie White may not be putting the WNBA's most electrifying offensive talent in the best position to succeed. When a respected voice like Reeve speaks up, it changes the conversation. Because this is no longer just a debate among fans on social media. It has become a serious question about whether one of the game's brightest stars is truly being utilized the way a generational player should be.
Reeves has been putting on an absolute clinic. Okay, an absolute clinic when it comes to handling a young superstar talent point guard. Okay, and everything she's been doing with Olivia Miles, it's the total opposite of what you are getting. It's the total opposite of what you are getting from Stephanie White and the Indiana Fever. And I think Cheryl Reeves has been putting on an absolute clinic and exposing Stephanie White in the.
And when Cheryl Reeve says something like that, people pay attention. You stop. You listen. Because this isn't an anonymous account on social media chasing engagement, and it's not another television personality searching for a headline-grabbing hot take. This is a four-time WNBA champion head coach whose resume commands respect across the entire sport. Reeve has earned the credibility to speak candidly, and when she raises concerns about how Caitlin Clark is being utilized in Indiana, those comments carry weight. Suddenly, the conversation shifts from fan frustration to a legitimate basketball discussion about whether one of the league's brightest stars is truly being put in the best position to thrive.
Coach, a lot of times she'll say, what do you want me to look for? And I say, whatever your instincts tell you is there. I don't coach her passing at all. I try to stay out of the way of that. We try to play call to feature, some of the things that we know she's going to find. She just has an incredible gift on the instincts of who's open, when they're open, just sees it before everybody else. And so timing is so crucial. If you've got a shooter open, that by the time it touches their fingers, they can let it go. Because if you're a tick late, defender has a chance to get back to you, and that shot looks different. Pick and roll game, etc. It's a gift. And that's what we've talked about. It's a generational gift. You just don't see it very often. And obviously she makes things easier for her team.
Cheryl Reeve's argument isn't complicated. In fact, it's remarkably simple. Caitlin Clark possesses a skill set that comes around only once in a generation. Deep shooting range that stretches defenses to their breaking point. Elite court vision that allows her to see plays before they develop. And a basketball IQ as a playmaker that few players in the league can match. The concern, according to Reeve's perspective, is that Indiana's current offensive system isn't designed to fully unlock those strengths. During a press conference, Reeve praised her own point guard decision-making and the freedom given within that system. And the comparison to Stephanie White's approach in Indiana didn't feel accidental. It wasn't vague, and it certainly wasn't subtle. The message was direct, pointed, and anyone who closely follows the WNBA understood exactly what Reeve appeared to be implying. When you have a talent like Caitlin Clark, the system should adapt to the player, not the other way around.
This is the worst backcourt and the worst coach in the WNBA. And then the haters are so hypocritical. Let's give a brief intermission to the haters, bro. Now that I'm agreeing with the haters, they disagreeing with me, agreeing with the original point that I made. You can't make this up. All Indiana Fever fans, I just want to let y'all know. And y'all, listen, y'all don't even have to listen to me or agree with me. That's fine. But I see the writing on the wall because I've been telling y'all. You think I'm lying? Go back and look. As long as we have Stephanie White as the coach, we're going to continue to lose. As long as we got Kelsey Mitchell doing what she's doing, hogging the ball, going 7 for 21, not looking for nobody, not trying to pass. As long as she keep doing it.
When one of the most accomplished coaches in WNBA history voluntarily steps to the podium and starts making comparisons about offensive philosophy, this isn't just basketball theory anymore. This isn't a generic discussion about systems and strategy. It's about a specific player in a specific situation. And that player is Caitlin Clark. Coaches of Cheryl Reeve's stature choose their words carefully. They understand how every comment will be interpreted. So when Reeve begins highlighting the importance of empowering elite decision-makers and tailoring an offense to maximize a point guard's strengths, people around the league take notice, because the implication is impossible to ignore. If you have a generational talent like Caitlin Clark, the responsibility falls on the coaching staff to build around what she does best, not force her into a system that limits the variabilities that make her special.
Reeve doesn't leave her guard on an island. See Courtney back to the baseline in the gap, making sure Canada can't drive. On reversal, Olivia doubles Ryan Howard. Coffee splits the passing lane while Courtney scrambles to the corner and Olivia comes to pressure. Now, the point of this whole thing is Stephanie White wants to switch 1 through 5, which is absolute asinine, where you don't have a bunch of like-sized players. You're getting 5'9" guards switched on the 6'6" centers. You're getting Aaliyah Boston stuck on 5'8" point guards at the three-point line. It's just ridiculous. And Cheryl Reeve is...
Think about what it actually means if Caitlin Clark is being misused at this level. We're not talking about a role player trying to carve out minutes or someone being shuffled around within a rotation. We're talking about the player who has become the face of a new era in women's basketball. She's the reason millions of new viewers are paying attention. She's a major reason arenas are packed, road crowds are energized, and national conversations about the WNBA are reaching audiences the league has fought for years to capture. If a player with that kind of talent and impact is operating in a system that fails to maximize what makes her special, then the issue extends far beyond a few questionable play calls or minor coaching adjustments. It becomes a much larger conversation about philosophy, adaptability, and whether the organization is fully embracing the extraordinary talent standing right in front of it. Because when a generational player arrives, the expectation isn't that the player bends entirely to the system. The expectation is that the system evolves to unlock everything that player is capable of becoming. Here's the part that makes Cheryl Reeve's comments hit even harder. Reeve and Stephanie White aren't longtime rivals trading public shots at one another. In fact, their history tells a very different story. Back in September 2025, when Reeve was suspended and fined $15,000 following her fiery criticism of WNBA officiating during the playoffs, Stephanie White didn't distance herself from the controversy. She did the opposite. White publicly supported Reeve's stance, revealing that she had already been fined herself for backing Reeve and calling the situation outrageous. She wore that fine like a badge of honor. Nobody forced her to speak up. She chose to do it because she respected Reeve and believed in the principle behind what Reeve was saying. That's why this moment carries so much weight. When someone who has defended you publicly, someone who willingly accepted consequences while standing in your corner, begins raising concerns about your coaching approach,